Okay, so good afternoon, welcome. First of all, I need to do some due diligence and point out that I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm just one of the Ninja Group trying to help you to have a bit more success with your trading. Any trades that you do take, you should do your own analysis before getting into the trade. And then the second part of my due diligence is to have a look at the news for today. So if I share my screen, that's not what I particularly wanted to share, but we'll go to the Forex Factory. You should be able to see Forex Factory. There's not a lot going on today. There's some red flag news at 3 o'clock in the States. There's a couple of low-level news items at 2 p.m. Strangely, there's nothing at 1:30. There normally is some US news at 1:30, which is what we try and take advantage of with this particular strategy. But there is some news, so we just need to bear that in mind. Looking at MyFX book, they've got a lot more items. We've got some Canadian news at 1:30, which will affect what we're doing, and then quite a few low and medium level items for 2 o'clock in the States. And they've got the same high impact news at 3 o'clock, along with some other additional low level news. So we bear those in mind. We're not worried by that news because this strategy takes advantage of the fact that the big institutions use the news as an excuse to manipulate price. And so we're quite happy that there is news going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the setup. You'll see here I've put a square here, a rectangle, I should say, on the screen, explaining that on Crossfire between 1 and 3 p.m. we do 4 pairs, plus we do one metal, which is gold. And if you want to do this strategy at 6 o'clock a.m., 6 a.m. UK time, there are 4 different pairs that we can use. This 1 p.m. strategy is connected with the crossover between the London market and the New York market. The second box is the handover from the Asian market to the London market. And finally, there's a note there to say that you can find a workbook and a couple, maybe 3 videos now in the guide section. I believe they've been moved. I believe they're now in guide number 10. I looked this morning and they seem to have moved to guide number 10. But anyway, you can have a look at that, and that gives you all of the steps to take in getting set up for this strategy. Now, basically, we're looking at the 1 o'clock candle, which is that candle there. We're on the 15-minute chart, so that candle doesn't close until 1:15, and we don't do anything. We don't even look at or consider getting into a trade until that candle is closed at the very earliest. So we've got 10 minutes to get set up, and any questions that anyone has about the setup, then please let me have them as we go along. The first thing that I do is I highlight the area that I'm interested in. So I'm going to put a rectangle to cover 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And that really is just to focus my attention on the time scale that I'm looking at. So the beginning of that rectangle is 1 o'clock, the end of that rectangle is 3 o'clock, and that really just focuses my attention. Now, if you try to draw a rectangle on your chart and you find that you've got a border on it, like this one, I think if it comes as it comes out the box, it automatically puts a border on the rectangle, which actually impedes your view of this candle. If there are any wicks on that candle, you won't be able to see them because you've got a black border on it. So if you go to the rectangle and click on it, you get the what's the word I'm looking for? You get this panel up here with, and you get this pencil line tool colors. If you click on line tool colors, and on mine it's black, but what I do is I reduce the opacity down to 0, and that has got rid of the black border. So I can now see clearly the wick on that the wick on that red candle there. So that's the first tip I would give you. Just draw a little rectangle, and that will focus your attention. Now, the second thing that we do is we need to draw a couple of lines. So I put a line above the current price and a line below the current price. I'm going to change that one to green. And there we go. So we've got one green line, one red line. The green line is our buy line, and the red line is our sell line. We haven't put those trend lines in place yet because this candle is still in process. So we don't do anything with those lines just yet. If we go through the other 4 pairs and do exactly the same, I'm just going to move you guys out of the way. There we go. Now I've already done these. I've already set these up. So the first pair we're interested in is Euro CAD. So I click on that. You'll see I've already set this up. I just need to change that line to red. So Euro CAD is the first pair. Euro USD we've just done. I'll just move that up slightly. There we go. The third pair we look at is GBP CAD. Move that up. You can see we've got the 2 lines in place there. And the fourth Forex pair is GBP USD. And we just need to change that line to green. And then I specialize in trading in gold. So well, I haven't set this one up, so I'm going to do that now. Just need to move you guys out the way. You're sitting it. There we go. So I put a rectangle from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock and drag it down. I'll just move that up slightly. And then I put a couple of lines on. One above and one below current price. And change that one to red. Okay, now there's one more thing. Oh, don't know what happened there. We'll get rid of those. Okay, so there's one further step we can take. We've still got 5 minutes before we can get involved in any trades. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the magnet tool on, which you'll find there, weak magnet. Now, if you just put your cursor level with the top of the wick on the 1 o'clock candle, I know it hasn't finished yet, but I'm just going to put it roughly in place. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at that wick there on the green on the 1 o'clock candle, and I'm looking left, and I'm looking for the nearest higher high. So as far as I can see right now, that candle there, that one there is the nearest higher high. So I'll just go over that again. That's the top of the green, the 1 o'clock candle as it stands at the moment. I'm looking left, and the nearest higher high is where I positioned that trend line there. So that's temporarily in place. What I'll need to do is just double check when we get to 115 and make sure it's accurately placed. Now we do the same thing with the bottom of this 1 o'clock wick. We look to the left and we look for the nearest lower low. Now it happens to be the very next candle. So with the magnet in place, you can just move it and it snaps into place. So those are roughly in place. They're not in the final position just yet, but we'll go through the other pairs and do the same thing. Just to save us a little bit of time when we get to 115. It's a bit of a rush when you get to 115 to get in position. So here we are, we're at the top of the wick there. We look to the left, and the one next to it is the nearest high. So that's roughly in place. We look at the bottom of the 1 o'clock candle, there's a wick there, and we look to the left, and the nearest lower low is the next candle. We go back through the pairs. By the way, if anybody wants to take a screenshot of that whilst I'm on that page, they can do. I'm looking at this candle here, looking at the top of the wick, looking left, and the very next candle is the nearest high. And looking at the bottom of that red 1 o'clock candle, it's actually making its way down, so we may well have to move this. But at the minute, the next candle looks, actually, it's just moved. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what this is a good example to show you. Now, you see this blue dashed horizontal line here. That's the start of today's session. It actually says 2200 hours on the 25th. So it was the end of yesterday's session and the beginning of today's session. And so I only look as far back as the beginning of today's session. So in this situation here, where you look at the bottom of the 1 o'clock candle and you look left and there's nothing there, there's no other candles lower than that wick, we simply put a horizontal, horizontal line. I just realized I said horizontal there. That's a vertical dashed line. We need a horizontal line here. Now, if you want to get a horizontal line, what you need to do is when you're moving that, when you're on that line there, if you press the Shift key, it should.
If you just click one side, Richard, and then click Shift, it'll make it horizontal.
Sorry, say that again, John.
If you just click one side of it, just there, click that with the Shift key, and that'll make it horizontal.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for your help. That's just me being clumsy. Anyway, it needs to be moved again because it's making its way down. So I'll leave it below. I'll give it room to breathe. And so it's now 1:15. So we've now got another candle in place. So we can actually go back through the pairs and set these lines in the exact position they need to be in. So if we drag that down, what we need is a second touch on this line. We need the top of the 1 o'clock wick to actually touch that trend line. Just drag it down slightly further. There we go. So you can see that that line touched the top of the previous wick and then took the top of the 1 o'clock wick and then continues down. We can now put this in position. We're putting this at the bottom of the 1 o'clock candle, which is there. So that's Euro US. We'll do the Forex pairs first. Euro card. We just need to drag that down so that it touches the top of the 1 o'clock wick. This one we'll need to just drag that upwards. Now, when you play positioning this one, because there was no wick on the bottom of that candle, what I'm trying to do is to get the line through the center of the candle. That's the center from left to right. In other words, where the wick would have been if had there been a wick. So that's roughly in place. GBP card. Magnet. So that was the 1 o'clock candle. We're just looking to the candle to the left of it. Drag it down, get a second touch on it. Slightly lower, there we go. And then once again, we need a horizontal line here. So oh no, I'm wrong there. We need to get that on that candle there, and then up to the, needs to go through the center of that. There we go. And GBP USD. That was the 1 o'clock wick, so that's the nearest higher high. Touch on the wick. There we go. And that's the 1 o'clock candle. So that one is actually slightly lower. There's not a lot in it, but it is slightly lower. And just put that through so that this line touches the center where the wick would have been had there been a wick. And then the final one, we just go to gold. Now we need to adjust this because the wick has gone a little bit higher. So try that one. Yeah, that's slightly higher than the wick. So just drag it down so you've got a second touch and drag this one up. A little bit further. Okay, so we've got all four set up on the 15-minute chart. What we need to do is change to the 5-minute chart and put the indicator on. I had an indicator on, but it was hidden. Now, this is where we analyze each one of the pairs individually. We're on gold, so you can see that on the 1 o'clock candle, we had an indicator up. What we're waiting for in this instance is for the price to go above the green line, and then we might start being interested in looking at a buy. If we had an indicator down, we'd be looking for a price to go below the red line before we would be interested in getting in for a sell. Now, at the minute, the price is what I call no man's land. It's in between the two trend lines, so we're not interested in taking any trades on that pair at the minute. We'll go through the other pairs. So Euro CAD, we were in a ninja down before 1 o'clock. Price is still heading down. It had tried to get below the red line a few minutes ago, but it just popped its head out and has continued back. So price would need, for us to be interested, we would need the ninja down, and we would need price to be below the red line. The other thing I'm going to say about this is, because we had the ninja down before the 1 o'clock candle, I'm slightly less confident about this being a sell. Had the ninja down appeared on this candle, I'd be more confident about getting into a sell once the price went below the line. But I'll come back to that. But at the minute, it's still in no man's land. So we were in a ninja down prior to 1 o'clock. We're still heading down. We are actually below the red line, but you can see we've actually got a green candle. So I'm not going to get involved in any sells on this pair at the minute, because it's tried to get below the trend line and then it started to reverse. All the other indicators are telling me we're in for a sell. We've got the PSAR above the price. we've got the red trend line, trend change line, the 13 MA, which changes from red to green, is still in red. And the 5 MA is below the 13 MA. So everything's telling me this is going for a sell, but we've got a green candle at the minute. So it's not confirmed. GBP card. Now we've had a ninja down within our time frame, so this is a bit more interesting. We had a ninja down at 1:15. Price has dropped below the red line and is still continuing below the red line. So this could be one of interest. Let me I'll look at something else. If I look at the multi-time frame stochastic, it's showing me that the 5 minute is still on its way down, but the others, well, most of the others are below in the extreme. So we could be looking for a reversal. Once this price gets down, it could be we could be seeing a rise in price. So that's a possibility. If you want to be brave and jump in, I wouldn't at the minute, because what I'm seeing here is the price is actually starting to go up. It's been down to this point, but it's actually going up. And if we look at the 3 minute chart, you'll see that there's a couple of green candles occurred. It's still a bit undecided for me anyway. It's a bit too early for my liking to be getting in there. It may well go down, but I'm just sometimes this sort of dip below the line occurs, and then it goes back above the line. It's starting to look a bit more promising. Just not for me at the minute. GBP USD. We were in a ninja down. We're still heading down. There's a green candle. It's very undecided. Similar to the last pair. If you're looking at a multi-time frame stochastic, everything's in the bottom, in the extreme at the bottom, apart from the 4 hour. So that could well be intending to push back upwards. So have we been through all 5 pairs? I think we have. Just a quick look at gold. Wow. So gold took us by surprise there. Although, no, we were in a ninja, we had a ninja up at 1 o'clock, and we haven't had a ninja down. So we wouldn't have got into that trade because we didn't have a ninja down. That's a bit of a leap, isn't it? That's actually, in that one candle, it's gone down. It's gone down 47 pips in that one 5 minute candle. By the way, that if you're using that measuring tool, you must remember that when you're measuring gold, you read it slightly differently. If I've been measuring a Forex pair and it said 521, that would be 521 pips. But because it's gold, you move the decimal place, and it's only 52.1. Now, as you see, this is one of the things I like about gold. It moves really fast, and as soon as it got down the bottom there, it's reversed and it's gone almost halfway back up. So you would have had to have been really fast to have taken any pips out of that one. Let's stick to the Forex pairs for now. Okay, so as I said, we were in a ninja down. It went down to the red line. It popped out beneath the red line, and now it's on its way back up again. We haven't had a ninja up, so we're not interested. If we did get a ninja up, we would wait until the price went above the green line before we get in for a buy. Let's just take it one step further, and let's start to think about take profits. If this price gets above the green line and we've got a ninja up, we start thinking about getting in for a buy. And this orange line here is my 50 moving average. Now, price is likely to bounce or break off that moving average. It's more likely to bounce, even if it's only a temporary bounce. And so I would use that. I will place my take profit just below that orange line. I'm going to measure it, because if it's not sufficient pips, then I won't get into the trade. But let's just measure from below that orange line down to the green trend line, and you're looking at 16.8 pips. So what I'm thinking is, well, can I get 10 pips? And the answer is obviously yes, I can. So I'm starting to get interested in this pair now, Euro CAD. We've got the PSAR flip down to the bottom. PSAR was above. It's now below the candle. So what we're waiting for now is for price to get above the green line and to get a ninja up. And then I would be interested in getting in for a buy up to just below that 50 moving average. I'm going to move down the charts because we've probably got some similar moves going on. This is similar. We popped down below the red line, but it's now reversing. As I said earlier, if you look at the multi-time frame stochastics, they're mostly down the bottom. So I had a feeling that price was going to reverse and start going back up again. And it has started to go back up. It's finding some resistance at the red trend line. That's always going to happen. Both those trend lines will form some kind of resistance. This isn't quite as interesting as the previous pair because we've still got the PSAR above price. On the previous one, it had just gone down to below. Same here, PSAR still above the price, but it is looking as if it might want to get above that green trend line. And once again, we've got another 50 moving average there, which will be a potential target. What I would do if I was trading this, I would measure that and just see what potential pippage there is in there. Now that one is a bit less. Between the green line and the orange moving average, there's less than 8 pips. So maybe I would go for 5 pips on that in that situation. We need to see where price is once it breaks above that green line. But bear in mind, we've still got the PSAR above the candle and we don't yet have a ninja up. And the last pair, similar situation, they're all behaving in the same way or in a similar manner today. Price dipped below the red line, but we noticed that the moving multi-time frame stochastics were mostly in the extreme at the bottom. So we're likely to be seeing getting into a buy situation. And that's happened on all 4 of the Forex pairs so far. We need to go back up to, was it Euro CAD, which was one that was looking more interesting. And you can see it's hesitated a little bit. Multi-time frame stochastic, the price is the 5-minute time, 5-minute stochastic is on the rise. We've got a ninja up. We just need to see price get above that trend line. The trend lines form a resistance, so it may struggle to get past it. I would be thinking about getting my MT4 set up ready for a potential buy on this one. Again, that would be my first target, where that orange line is or just below it. If you want a safe stop loss, you should always go to just below the PSAR. A slightly less safe stop loss would be this red trend line, because as I say, that these trend lines form support and resistance. So once it gets above, it'll find it difficult to get back below, and once it gets below, it'll find it difficult to get above. So they do act as support and resistance. Now, price is it's edging its way. Somebody asked me this morning about when would I get in as soon as the ninja appeared, and I tried to explain that no, I would wait until price was above the candle. I would probably wait. Where are we now time-wise? We're not even halfway through that candle yet. There's 3 minutes left of a 5-minute candle. So I would wait for at least until that candle was halfway through. And if you wanted to be even safer, I would wait until another candle formed above the green line. I tend to be very, very cautious, and I would probably wait until the next candle formed and then take a buy up to that trend line there. But it is moving quite strongly. You can see the multi-time frame stochastic is heading strongly upwards. The AO MACD, you've got a green dot and prices, green is above the red. However, it's not above the zero line. There's a zero line where my cursor is now. So it's still below the zero line on the AO MACD. That's a slightly worrying sign. But everything else is telling me that's going for a buy.
There is news on the Canadian dollar right now as well.
That's right. 130, there was Canadian news, which would obviously affect this. So that might be another reason. That could potentially be a reason to hang fire until that price settles. But yes, 130 news on Canadian dollar. We look at try and get another confirmation by going to the GBP. Yeah, that's also a strong move up. GBP Canada. I don't know why I've lost my rectangle, but you can see it's heading. That's already been up to the 50 MA. It's just touched the 50 MA and bounced off it. For some reason, I keep losing my rectangles and my trend lines, but not to worry. We can go to, so that's heading north. But I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't get in that right now because that's likely to keep bouncing off that. I would have to wait until it got past that 50 moving average. And the reason I would wait is because there's another take profit target there. In fact, there are two very close together. There's a 200 moving average and the 800 moving average. So if and when price gets beyond this 50 moving average, there's my next target. But I'll keep an eye on the multi-time frame stochastic as well, because price might get above that red line and be overbought and might come back into a selling situation. So that's at a crucial point there. That it's just going to hover around that 50 moving average for the time being. Let's just look at the US dollar pairs. So that one's had a bit of an increase. It's hesitating at the minute. Let's just see where the moving averages are. Oh, there we go. There's a 50 moving average. So that price, if it continues upwards, will probably reach that moving average and then bounce off. Euro, so GBP, USD, same situation. It's had a bit of an increase on the 130 candle. The 135 candle, it's just hesitating. And once again, if I look a bit further north, you've got the 50 moving average. So all four of the Forex pairs are in identical situations. So they're heading north, and they've got a 50 moving average above the current price, which would become my take profit. I'm just going to have a quick look at gold. Yeah, gold went on the increase at 13. Well, it went on the increase at 13.25. We got the indicator up at 13.30. It's already, this is a slightly different situation because we had the 50 moving average very close to the 800 moving average, which is a purple line there. And then the blue line is a 200 moving average. So they're slightly out of sync with each other. But that's not unusual for gold. Gold doesn't act in the same way as Forex pairs act. But here, that would be my target if I was going to get in for a buy, and it probably wouldn't be sufficient pips. I need to measure that. If I measure from the blue line down to where price is now, it's 10 pips. Remember, you move the decimal place on when you're measuring gold. So there is 10 pips potential there. Personally, if I'm taking a trade on gold, I look for more than 10 pips. I'm satisfied with 10 pips on, and the reason for that is because my stop loss needs to be more than 10 pips. I need to play a little bit safer if I'm trading gold. So let's go back through the pairs again, see if we can get the, we've got the rectangles back. So Euro CAD was heading north. It's reversed. Right, so that would have been my target, but perhaps as well I didn't get in. It started. It could be a temporary reversal. We've still got the ninja up. We've still got the PSR below, and it's quite a way below from price. So there's a lot of momentum. So that could be just a temporary retracement. Euro US, that's continuing upwards. Shame I've lost my drawings. But I know for a fact that that would have been my my take profit. It's heading in that direction. So there's a potential for a buy. It's just hesitating at the moment. Well, we're pretty close to the end of that 5-minute candle. So let's wait and see what happens when the new candle forms. We've got about 15 seconds left. There we go. There's a new candle. What I noticed there was the gap between the 5 moving average and the 13 moving average widened slightly when that candle first appeared. So it's looking like it's going to go north. So there's a potential buy. It's just hesitating a little bit. The secret is to get in get in and get your pips without too much drawdown. So so I'm always a bit reluctant to get in until I see a fairly stable candle. And then we'll go and have another look at the GBP pairs. Yeah, similar situation. It did rise up and it almost touched the 50 moving average, and then it's been back down again. It's starting to try to go back up again. It probably will go back up, but right now it's hesitating. And GBP USD. similar situation. Didn't get up as far as the 50 moving average. It's up there. So there's maybe a bit more potential in this one. And if and when it does actually start to move back up, there's a bit more room for maneuver. Let's have another look at gold. Right, gold is heading upwards, but we're running out of targets. It's, you know, all the moving averages are very close together here. That's a little bit concerning. We've got 200 moving average in the distance there, but it's not that far away. We look at the multi-time frame. Right, so the 5 minute is, well, one of the lines is in the extreme at the top. So there's a bit more room for it to move up. So I'm guessing what will happen with this, it will move up to that 200 moving average and then start to reverse, because everything else, all the other stochastics are down the bottom. So I think that's where it's heading, and then a reversal will take place. You see the 5 MA, which is a yellow line, is above the 13, and the gap is widening. So that's a positive sign that the price might be going up. But there's a purple line there, which is the 800 moving average, and the blue line is the 200 moving average. And what it's looking as if it's going to do is start bouncing around between the two. It'll probably go up to there, and then it'll come back down and then go back up again. It'll probably get stuck in that channel. If I wasn't doing this live session and I was watching gold, I'd be tempted to get in there, because I do. My gut instinct is that it's going to go up to that blue line. So, I'm not going to do it whilst I'm doing this live, because you need to be totally focused. There's 12 pips in that move from where price is now to the blue line. So I could be tempted. I'm not going to whilst I'm live. I did that once before, and I had my first ever loss on. Well, it wasn't my first ever, but it was first in a long time. But, I'll keep an eye on that. We'll go back through the pairs. Anybody got any questions? So this one, I'm still thinking the price might go up to this orange, which is a 50 moving average. That seems to be, when it does decide to make a strong move, that's where it's likely to head. Although it's just proved me totally wrong there, because it's going in the opposite direction. That's partly because this multi-time frame stochastic, the 5 is pretty close to the top, but the red has gone on top of the blue, so it's heading downwards. And the reason it's doing that is because the 15, the 30, and the 1 hour stochastics are all in the extreme at the bottom. So price is going to have to go down there before it goes back up again, I guess. Euro US, again, that's coming back down. Similar reason. All the stochastics at the bottom, apart from the 5 minute. GBP CAD. Same thing's happening on all of them, isn't it? We're now below the red line, but we're still in a ninja up, so we're in no man's land. Just to cover a point that somebody asked me about, the question was about how do I feel when price gets, you see how previously I said between these two lines here, I call that no man's land, because I simply wouldn't be interested in a trade unless price was above the green or below the red. But once you get past the crossover, I take a slightly different view, because if price is between the red and the green, I don't necessarily automatically stay out of a trade. What I would do is if let's say that price was, well, exactly where it is now, it's actually on the red line and it's heading down, I might, if we had a ninja down, I might consider taking a sell, even though we're still above the green line. But I would first of all measure the distance between the two lines, because this green line is going to offer quite a bit of resistance to price. As you can see, it's there, price wicked down, and then it just bounced off it. It almost went down to it, but it certainly reversed when it got down there. So that is a strong line of resistance. Now at that point there's not enough room before, you know, when price moves from where it is now to that green line, I don't think there's enough room to get 10 pips. So I'll just measure it. No, you're looking at six or 7 pips at the maximum there. So I wouldn't be interested in that. If we were up here somewhere and I measured that distance and there was sufficient for me to get my 10 pips, then I might be interested. But what I'm saying is that I'm not necessarily discounting getting into a trade when you're in between the two lines after the crossover. So let's look at the last pair. Okay. So we've got a ninja up. The 5 MA is above the 13 MA. The 13 MA is pointing upwards. The P size below. So it's looking like it wants to go up, but it seems to have reached a level there. It's tried a couple of times to get past it and has struggled. So there may be some resistance. I'm sure if we look left, we might find a reason for that, but it's now trying to make its way upwards. So there's a potential for a buy. And if we look at a potential target, there it is, just appeared there. So there's a potential target. Do what I always do, measure it. See if it's worth considering. And it's less than 8 pips. So you might be tempted to get in for 5 pips there. Because for sure, you know, well, not for sure, nothing's for sure, but the likelihood is that it won't get past that 50 moving average without some resistance. We'll just keep an eye on it. With that candle, the current candle is only 10 seconds old. So let's see if it intends to get up to that orange line. It's making a good effort. I try to keep this strategy fairly simple. I could complicate it by looking for areas of imbalance. You see here the price went down. So from the top of that candle to that wick there's an area of imbalance. Everything was selling in that bit there. There's another area of imbalance here, which is a point that we're at now. So you know, it's a valid point. I'm not knocking using additional indicator. It's just another confirmation that price is going to go north, because it has, at some point it has to go in and fill this imbalance, particularly that one there, and which will coincide with this 5 moving average. So I'm just looking at other confirmations, other reasons for price to head north, and that is a very strong reason for price to head north. This 50 moving average is a very strong reason for price to head north. So I'm reasonably confident that's going to get up there. You might only have got 5 pips out of that move by the time we saw it. And of course, the other thing is, I know it's easy with hindsight. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but here was a ninja up, and price got above the above the green line, which is the most important. But it was above both of them, and we had a green trend line and we had a rising 5MA. Had you got in, let's say if this had been me, I would have waited for that candle, and I would have stayed out on that candle because it was a red candle. I might have got in on this candle because it turned green and everything else was in my favor. So I potentially could have got in at the bottom of that candle and taken it up to that orange line, and there's 17 pips. So, you know, it depends depends on how confident you are about the move. I'm reasonably confident that this price is going to go up to that point. I've got 2 confirmations. I've got this area of imbalance here, and I've got this 50 moving average there. So that's 2 good reasons for price to go up. Had I sort of done a full analysis, I would have hesitated here, but I would have probably got in on that candle there. And I would certainly have got my 10 pips out of that move. In fact, I'd probably be up to 10 pips by now. But that's just that's something that comes with confidence. Confidence comes with experience.
Hi, Richard.
Hi.
I'm on a bit late. I was tied up having stair lift meetings with my mother.
All right.
Just a query. People make comments about waiting for the ninja up above the line if it's a buy above the green line. And is there a definitive, because obviously the ninja's under the green line to start there.
Yeah.
But your candle's gone through. It's closed above. And
yeah.
Is there a better entry waiting for these ninjas to be candle fully above, or the actual ninja above?
I think if you ask Paul that question, I don't know if Paul's watching on Facebook, he quite often does, but I've got to put words into his mouth. I think if you'd ask Paul, I've been watching some of his trades, and he does seem to get in on the ninja, even if it's sort of straddling the line.
This is straddling. It's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. It started under and.
Yeah, but I think Paul's view tends to be, well, he's got a piece out at the bottom, which is a good sign. He's got the ninja up, and if he's got a green trend line, then I think Paul tends to get in
halfway up or something.
Yeah, sort of halfway up that candle, or as soon as it's clear. My personal view is I would rather wait, and I'm not saying mine is any better advice than Paul's will be, but I find it safer for me to wait until that candle. I wouldn't even get in on that candle, because
no, that's the bit
I would wait until that candle closed.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would see what happened with the next candle. And in this situation, I still wouldn't have got, well, I don't know how this candle formed. I know it started at that point and went down, but it also went up. So I could have been fooled into getting in on that candle. But my safest entry will be on this candle. But that's just my personal view. That it doesn't mean it's right or it's wrong. It's just how I trade. But I have noticed that Paul This morning, for instance, he grabbed 2 lots of pips, and the ninja. I think they were both ninja downs, but they were both straddling the line at the point that he got in, I think. But you know,
I listened to it on Facebook driving the car this morning to get to my mum's. But
well, Paul's a way better trader than I am, so maybe.
No, he's not your match.
Well, I would say he is, but anyway, I take the cautious view.
I think we should have a vote. We should do a vote. You know, everyone should have a little vote. Who's the best? You know.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's all, everybody's got their own style, and my style would lead me to wait until that third candle, actually.
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking the question, because I know that you want it to be safe, which I think is really, really, really good, because better to be than not.
Yeah. Well, that's my view. Richard Kosan has just put something in chat. He said both are equally excellent. Well, you know, it depends who you want to follow. If you
is that the trade of the traders?
Yeah, I mean, Paul's making more money than I am, so you know, so that could be one way of looking at it. I mean, I say my personal view is I would wait for that candle there, and I would still have got my 10 pips. So that is, you know, the end of the story. As far as I'm concerned, if I get my 10 pips without getting into a great deal of drawdown, I'm just going to measure that. If let's say I got in halfway through that candle there,
that's plenty more.
So there's 14.5 pips there. I would have got my 10. I cannot wish for any better than that. You know, that is my ideal. My ideal is take one trade a day, take 10 pips out of that trade, and shut my laptop.
Because that's got everything on your list. Plus, you've got this closed ninja.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, it has actually just gone to my target. It's just hit, or it's just, well, I was going to say it's gone past my 50 moving average, but that often happens. It often goes past and then retraces. But I would have got out just below that 50 moving average. I would have taken my 10 pips and I would be saying, thank you very much. I'm off to the pub.
For what it's worth, Richard, I normally wait till after the candle, after the ninja up has finished.
Right.
Take it on the ninja up.
Yeah.
So because obviously I look to see what it's doing, and you can see there it started to reverse, and then the second one along actually then took off.
Yes.
So at the moment I've taken GBP USD and I'm 15 pips up now, and the exit manager's kicked in at 10 pips.
So you've got it on your exit manager then, which is
yeah, I always use it. I always use the exit manager, and I'm 10 pips up on Euro USD as well.
We'll just have a look at, well, you can see the price has gone beyond what would have been my target. I would be happy with that, but there's still more pips to be had there. We'll look at Euro USD. They normally act in a similar manner. The difference there was no, well, the 50 moving average was further away, so that's still got some way to go. Multi-time frame, yeah, the 5 moving average has already reached the extreme at the top, and the red is now above the blue, so it's starting to go down again. So well, both good trades. I mean, you have, I've lost my drawings, but there was a ninja up. I wouldn't have got in on that candle. I would have certainly waited until that candle at least. Possibly might have waited till that one, I don't know. But again, you know, this is the beauty of the 10 pip strategy. This is one of the things that I like about Paul's style of trading. If you can get 10 pips and out, you take a lot of stress out of trading. Obviously, you've got to have sufficient lot size and all that that entails. But I find that my trading is much smoother, much less stressful since I started going for 10 pips. So that one, if we go back to GBP, I suspect what we'll find is that that's started to reverse. GBP USD done the same. So it's gone above my target line temporarily, and then it's decided to come back down, and it'll probably hang around that line for some time.
It's bouncing off the 62 moving average at the moment.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't have the 62 on my chart, but yeah, that makes sense. There is another potential target above there, which is the, can't see it, that's my purple line, so that's the 800 moving average above. So there is another potential target, but as I say, as far as trading is concerned, I'll be done and dusted. I wouldn't be hanging about to see if it went up there. I'd be, but Paul says I spend half my time in the pub. I'll be on my way to the pub.
Gold is pushing down to now at the moment, Richard.
Yeah. So let's just sort of look at that, see what happened. It went up. We had the 50 moving average very close to the 800 moving average, which is why that was a bit of a sticking point. And it made an attempt. It's that week almost went up to the. It's a strange thing because the 200 is normally between the 50 and the 800, but it's out of sync. But it went up there. It almost made it, and then it turned around.
Your lines on again, have they gone off again?
They've gone off. I don't know what.
They've gone off, they are, okay.
Yeah, they keep coming and going. The thing that's adding to the confusion here is you've got the 5 moving average has been into the extreme and started to come down with the red above the blue, but the 15 moving average is still on the rise. So there's a bit of a conflict going on. You've got a red candle, but you've got a PSAR below price, and we're still in a ninja up. So it's very contradictory, but that's typical of gold. And, not unusual.
That's the news, isn't it? We've got medium impact news at the minute.
Yeah, 2 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just manipulation.
Yes, it. As I say, had I been in one of those US pairs, I'd be done for the day. I wouldn't be. I would do my chart markups later, but I would have taken my 10 pips and walked away. And that is my style of trading. So this is going to, gold is going to mess about, for want of a better word, until something major happens, but it's not going to move a great deal. So I'm going to quickly go through the other 4 pairs. If anybody's got any final questions, I'm going to call it a day. Right, so the Euro Canada has just gone above the 50 moving average. The 5-minute stochastic is in the extreme at the top. Everything else is down below, so that could well be turning now. Or USD again. I've lost my drawings, but I know where they were. We're same there. It's just touching the 50 moving average, the 5-minute stochastics at the top in the extreme. Everything else is down below. The 15 is moving up slightly, but I think it's more likely that this is going to go down for the time being, and then go down, and then they'll go back up again in unison. But I think that's probably the end of the big moves for today. I might be surprised and get another one. There we go. There's it's gone above the 50 moving average. It's made its way to the 200, and now it's going to attempt to get up to the 800. And because of that 5 minute stochastic being at the top, I think it'll get up there and then reverse. And the last one, GBP USD, that's already started to reverse. Went past the 50, got to the 800. It's got a 200 above it if it wants to keep on pushing up. But once again, 5 minutes in the extreme at the top. What sometimes happens is the 5 minute snakes along the top and waits for the 15 minute to catch up with it. So that could go either way. At the minute, it's stuck at that level there. It's finding resistance at that level, and if it breaks through, it'll go up to that 200 moving average. Thanks, Paul. I have to jump up. Got my 10 pips on GBP USD. Well done, Paul. It's nice when people get pips. As I say, since I got my fingers burnt on that trade, I'm making a point of not trading whilst I'm live. Particularly with the sort of lot size I'm using, it's a bit dangerous to lose focus. But there we are. We're well past the hour session, and I'm recording this, so I wanted to keep it roughly to an hour. So are there any final questions before I call it a day? If not, I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording.
Just sorry, Richard, just a quick one. Are you okay to carry on?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to stop recording now.
What it was, I was just talking about gold on the 5 minute. Obviously, I thought it might come back up to that trend line, which it's done. Now, if it goes above the green, are we saying that we're in a safer position to get in after the crossover?
Right. So I was looking at something else, John. Just say that again. Which pair are we looking at?
On the gold US.
The gold. Right. Okay.
On the 5 minute. So as it came down, I'm still thinking it wants to go up to this moving average.
Yes.
So if price pushes up like it has done, obviously it's resisted on the red trend line. But are we safe? Obviously, we don't want to be in the crossover before the crossover, but after the crossover, are we happy to go above the green trend line to get in the trade as opposed to having to go above the red?
Yes.
And on back testing, we've sort of back tested it, and we're kind of happy to.
Yes, I think so. I think once you've passed the point at which the two trend lines cross over, the fact that you're in between the two lines is way less important than it was prior to the crossover. And I think if you've got enough room up to the line, up to the next line to get your pips, then it's a safe trade. So I would measure the gap and make sure I have enough room to maneuver. And providing that qualified, then I would consider getting in. Obviously, it's bouncing off this, but I share your view. I think it will ultimately go up to that line.
The only issue, we've got high impact coming up at what's it, 3 o'clock.
There is some. Yeah, there is some.
Before then.
Yeah. Okay. So,
thanks for that, mate.
No problem. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm back on again tomorrow morning at 8:30 UK time. I do the other strategy, my other strategy, which is volume profile, which is also having quite a bit of success, by the way. We just don't feature it as much. But anyway, if you jump on then, we'll go through the volume profile at 8:30. Thanks for jumping on. Thank you.